Hello wonderful people, Connor Whitmore back again with another video for you on the Naughty Step channel, and it is time for another Extra Naughties monthly roundup. Before we get going here, just wanted to say apologies for this video being so late. I've had a lot to catch up on following being at Lost Lands, what with music listening, thousands and thousands of tunes and Patreon stuff, you know, the works. So yeah, just wanted to say that before we got going here, and that the October edition will be coming a lot earlier next month. But yes, for this video, 25 mini reviews that we have here, bass music of all kinds as per, covered in alphabetical order as per by way of artist or record label name, with a load of extra mentions coming at the end that I don't cover in the main part of this video, but which I still think you guys should check out, which I am recommending for you all. So yeah, without any further ado, let's go. And kicking off this installment, we have the recently released latest EP from Badklaat, Boombox, which is okay. Starts really well with the opener, which has a great introduction for that track and for the EP overall, and the heaviness there, solid enough as well. The rest, the following three, are just okay, a little bit ordinary, you know, quite well made. There's variety on offer, but not really ideas that are that gripping or memorable, so overall this EP just, yeah, fine. A nice little trio of tracks here from Chef Boyarbeatz, a lot of down and dirty 140 dubstep kind of vibe we're getting here, gnarly bass lines, clean production, really well arranged, all three that we get here. Just a very enchanting feel to the whole thing, which, you know, isn't particularly long at 3 cuts, but a couple of the tunes are quite extensive, so it just rubs off on you in a really nice way, this EP. And there's been a lot of music of this kind in 2023, and I'd just say this is some of the best of it, for me, in my opinion, without doubt. New album from Chriz, which is good. Not quite as many hit cuts as with previous albums of his, and he does put out one kind of every year, so quite consistent. But yeah, not as many hits here, though I do find it more consistent overall quality-wise than with those previous LPs. You know, he's really tapped into the halftime, the 140 or the hybrid stuff that lies in between that. The production's amazing, so even without having as many hits, I wouldn't say, I'd still recommend it massively if you haven't checked it out. This EP from clwdy, which is a good listen, one of the best on the Neoluminum label so far, in my humble opinion. Very bright, very fresh, chord-driven dubstep, quite an emotional pull, I think, to most of the EP in terms of the melodic leaning of it and whatnot. And some tracks here, you know, a bit more in your face, some are a bit more reflective, so a good mix going on there, and mostly well made production-wise. So yeah, if you like your dubstep served colourful and everything that comes with that, then you're going to enjoy this collection quite a bit, I think. Another impressive Sable Valley EP, this time from Deadcrow, and yeah, this EP, these 5 cuts really are Deadcrow all over. A riveting start we get here with the opening couplet. The following 3 maybe not quite as captivating, but there is that seismic Deadcrow feel and aesthetic kind of permeating the whole thing, which is good, where other tracks that he's put out this year in 2023 haven't maybe quite had that, haven't had that momentous appeal that is so good about his music. So yeah, decent EP overall, but that opening couplet hitting in particular. Debut album from Effin is good, and it's just nice to hear his sound play out over a whole LP, and refreshing as well to hear this kind of bass music just, I suppose, own what it is. There's no real thirst or need for headbang pandering or formulaic one-note wallpaper kind of dubstep. No, it's very confident in presenting that hazy, jazzy, multi-influence kind of approach. And don't get me wrong, there is heavy stuff here, you know, stuff that could have a bit more going for it, a bit more dynamism with the idea making, but the effortless vibe that makes his music so good plays such a big role here, and I love that. You know, he could have easily gone for stuff that he thinks is going to go off live, but, you know, he kind of veers away from that for the most part in a really effective way, and it's just got him kind of stamped all over it, which is great. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. Latest EP from FuntCase isn't bad. I wouldn't say that I love any of the individual tracks that we get here, any of the 5 cuts, but they are still good, and I actually love the variety of the EP. You know, you get outright modern dubstep cuts, you get a bit of bass house, a bit more of an Amalke-leaning dubstep kind of track, you get the D&B at the end as well, so there is a real diversity to the EP, and there's a really authentic feel as well to the production. It feels very rooted in the origins of modern bass music, and I love that about it, you know, underground warehouse kind of vibes, which is great. Really complements the idea making that we do get. So yeah, maybe not any of his, well, any of my favourite cuts of his on this EP, but still good for sure. New album from GorillaT, which is good fun. If you're not familiar with his music, it's got strong Subtronics kind of energy if you're a fan of his. Big elements of Dirt Monkey and Jansen and Ellis Dream as well, who he recently collaborated with actually. Not too many standout drops within the 12 tracks we get here. Imagine is great. That track is fantastic just by virtue of it, you know, kind of sticking out stylistically and being produced really well as well. But yeah, very colourful, very full of life, this collection, good production as well, good flows, so if that kind of stuff appeals to you, please do go and check it out. A decent EP from Hamdi, which showcases the classic Hamdi dubstep structure we've all become familiar with last couple of years or so, and there's variety beyond that, tonally with a couple of chilled moments, genre-wise also with a bit of garage, a bit of D&B to kind of spice it up a little bit. Nothing exceptional I don't think this EP, given his standard, but it is still a good spread, the 5 tracks we get here, so yeah, worth a listen if you haven't checked it out yet. Very good to hear an album from the INHUMAN project, formerly known of course as Code Pandorum, but I have to admit I wasn't massively convinced on my first listen through it. First time I went through, I could hear the variety, but not that many particularly memorable ideas or drops on show for me, but I've gone back to it a couple of times more, and a few tracks have grown on me, and the aesthetic as well is great. He really does paint a futuristic picture here. I think the idea making can definitely get a bit more ambitious to kind of match the variety, the diversity with the genre making that we get here, but it's still, like I said, for all the atmospheres, the aesthetic, the world building, yeah, it's pretty good. Latest collection from Jauz, and after the House project, which came out a couple of months ago from him, which for me was one of the most forgettable of this year so far, I didn't have the highest hopes. And here he goes down the dubstep / D&B route, again proving his variety, his knack for experimentation and dabbling in different genres and whatnot, which is cool, but the 7 tracks we get here are just fine and nothing more. I mean, there's a bit of good sound usage here and there, but the production's mostly quite muddy, and the ideas play it very, very safe, extremely inoffensive. Just given how long he's been around making music in this scene, nothing hits the spot here. A super fresh feel to this EP from Knoir. Again, I don't quite love any of the 5 that we get here, but they are all good. They're consistently solid, when most EPs aren't really, I'd have to say, especially within this style of music. And for me anyway, Knoir made way more creative drops, but I do love how cutting it feels throughout the whole EP, production-wise. Very sharp, very angled, with quite a lot going on, which is quite difficult when so much is being lobbed in. So yeah, arrangement-wise, production-wise, does a very good job on that front, and it's just a perfect fit, I think, for Halcyon as well. So yeah, good in amidst me not quite loving any of the individual cuts that we get here. Next up, my oh my, what a beautiful soundscape this album is from KOAN Sound. One that deserves full attention, your full attention if you've only heard it once, or you're trying to get back into it, you haven't heard it yet. Yeah, it deserves your full attention, not just kind of dipping in and out and skipping and choosing tracks here and there or playing it out of order or whatever it might be. I mean, if you want something to immerse yourself in, I genuinely don't think I would look further this year than this album. On the heavy front, I find Voices of Dissent and Temple of Fervor particularly compelling, but generally speaking, I think it's more the detail and the texture of the LP that's really enough here to lock you in completely start to finish, with all the charm and all the allure of their aesthetic, their design, their production methods. And I'll say this, you know, if you're looking for something catchy, something infectious, something like outright sticky, then you're not quite going to be satisfied, I don't think. But if you want to be swept up in a cinematic based kind of story, then yeah, this album is absolutely it for this year. It's completely stunning. Then new EP from The Living Proof, which I find to be one of the best circus EPs since they've embarked on this new melodic bro step kind of era in the last year or so. But yeah, a really weighty and mostly well produced and vibrant EP that we've got right here. Can definitely do with a bit of refining at points with the arrangement, the production, certain sounds and their execution here and there, but super creative and off the wall with the wide sound usage. And yeah, Living Proof, just one to watch. And I know this is a kind of sound that a lot of people have been crying out for in the last couple of years or so, and it's right here, so go and check it out. Following that, latest EP from Marauda, which starts really well with the opening track, the title track, just a fantastic tune all around, memorable drops, executed well, these grand interlude sections tying it up That for me is what Marauda is all about. I love that track. And the other two, not quite as on point, but there is variety. The production's good as well, I think, especially in comparison with past EPs he's put out in the recent past, in the last couple of years or so. So for me, even though it is quite short, just 3 cuts we get here, overall, his best EP in years, in my opinion. Next up, the latest EP from Monty, and again I find myself just enjoying his dubstep way more than his D&B. Madman is such a well done cut, the wubs just send me every single time I hear that track. Brain is a great cut as well. The jump of it, the waviness of the drops. You know, the D&B that we get here is alright, but the dubstep is just levels above, in my opinion, and that is what this EP kind of boils down to. After that, not the most enthralling must-die EP that I've ever heard, gonna have to say it. I think the energy's there, that ravey feel, very much there across the whole thing, very clean with the production, sonically, sounds very good on the ear. There just aren't that many drops that I want to hear again and again and kind of go back to. I think Someone to Trust is nice, Dallas is alright as well, but mostly of the 7 we get here, they're just a bit too simple and don't really get close to his standard, in my opinion. That being said, I do love how often he's releasing. You know, we've got a couple of albums in the last couple of years or so from him, this EP, and he's going to put out a lot more going forward, I think. So, love the consistency, but yeah, this just didn't quite hit it from him for me. Likewise, not my favourite collection of tracks from MYTHM. I think Bloodhound, track number 2, very good, one of my favourites of his ever. Got pretty much everything for what it's going for and reflects what his style's about in a very effective way. Mad Acid is decent as well, but the rest, the other 3 we get here, don't have quite enough going on to keep the EP ticking along well. I think the drops we get in those other 3, just a bit inactive, could have more going on. So yeah, he's written better EPs, but that is a sign of how high his standard is. Some top material on this album from RL Grime, classic RL Grime, if you will, tracks like Zone and Jewel, then slightly different cuts like I Think I'm Getting Emotional and Metro North a bit more towards the end. Also really enjoying how the album's kind of divided up into sections. You've got more vintage RL Grime in the first section, then a bit more experimentation, then it gets a bit more, I don't know, reflective and somber and melancholic in the final few. But there are also 24 cuts that we get here, including interludes, so it does drag a little bit, this album, and there's quite a bit of superfluous music, I think, that could have been cut. Tracks and drops that just sound way too similar, so you're kind of questioning the point of them. Generally uninspiring cuts as well that just feel flat, and sections that make it quite predictable and more like a compilation than an LP, where the individuality maybe doesn't shine through quite as much. So yeah, like I said at the beginning, it does have its moments for sure, this LP, but it's a bit of a slog more so. A 4-track, 41-minute album, which I suppose in this scene is quite unique in itself, from Stasys on Halcyon. But yeah, each cut that we get here, very much like a stream of consciousness kind of journey or voyage, with all the detail that neuro music can offer and that one could wish for, basically. And what I would say is that if you're looking for a bit of order, a bit of structure, then I would kindly say move on. But if you're looking for something a bit more chaotic, uninhibited, unpredictable, whilst being incredibly well produced, then I think, yeah, check it. That is what you're going to get right here. It's a massive experience. If you let it do its thing, if you let it wash over you, give it a chance, give it patience, run through the whole thing start to finish. And yeah, if you haven't, then get right on it. Another pretty good Neo-Luminum project, not gonna lie, this time from SuperZrussell, or SuperZrussell, never quite known, so do let me know in the comment section down below. But again, just very big on that weighty, vibrant, modern dubstep kind of vibe, you know, very melodic, all of that colour woven in there. My favourite here would be Living in a Video Game, I think it's called, track number 5 or 6 here. Yeah, really well done, that tune, but good variety overall. All sorts to enjoy, I think, if you're into your colour base, so yeah, decent. Moving on, latest EP from Trinist, which does take a little while to fully get into its stride, I think. The first 2 cuts we get here, the first half, not him really fully strutting his stuff, but the second half, in my opinion, the second 2 cuts we get a lot more engaging and considered, so it kind of gets better as it goes on, this EP. But what I would say is that it's very nice on the ear throughout, you know, gorgeous sound, sonically very, very on point, so definitely got that very, very much going for it. Then we have what is for me one of the very best D&B EPs I've heard in quite a while, this year for sure, from TXO XY, just doing that grungy but also very intricate D&B approach very effectively. Tracks like Flashback and Fog Me funny track title, but yeah, those ones in particular I find quite compelling. The overall here, just the percussion, the pacing of these tunes, the vocal samples that are lobbed in as well, all very on point as general facets and kind of factors for this EP. So yeah, it's good. Check it out if you haven't yet. Penultimately, we have this new album from Wales, who does go for the short tracks approach, again very much like his Disciple EP. A lot of sub 2 minute material here, and many of the tunes as a result just feeling over before they truly get going. And as a result of that, again, it just has a bit more of a compilation feel than an album feel. I mean, the variety is here genre-wise, and there's a lot of good drops on show as well within the 17 tracks we get here. But that's the thing, it is 17 tracks and it's only 38 minutes long. So again, that does say a lot for how it feels as an LP. It has much more of a compilation kind of vibe. It's a very streaming age kind of collection, this one. And you know, even though there is good material here, good drops like I've said, it does generally just feel a little bit like it's over before it truly expresses itself. And finally here for today, we have this new comeback LP project collection kind of thing from 1788L. But sorry to say that I don't fully enjoy any of these tracks. A lot of the heaviness just feels quite clunky and scrambled in its arrangement, in its construction, and that does take me out of the experience quite a bit. You know, I can see what he's going for, the aesthetic, the atmospheres are good. There's just way too much going on for me, again, in those heavier moments in the drops that we get, and it just feels quite unrefined in several ways as a general overview of this collection, and that would just about sum that one up for me. But there we have it, guys, another mammoth video, the September 2023 edition of the Extra Naughties Monthly Roundup. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. But now, without any further ado, the extra mentions for that month. Going to put them up on the screen right here, right now, for you all to see. And yeah, as always, if you want to note them down, take a screenshot, pause the video. These are projects that I recommend you guys check out, which I didn't mention in the main part of the video, of course, because I didn't have space, I didn't have time, which I still think you guys should check out because there is a lot of good material here, again, covering all kinds of bass music. If you have the time, please do check these projects, these collections out. But with regards to what I reviewed in this video, the main part of the video, the mini reviews, which ones did you enjoy? Which others not so much? Are there any that I missed out? Let me know in the comments section down below. But beyond that, all my socials down below in the description box, my Patreon as well, if you want to help support the channel, get a load of exclusive content every month that isn't available on this channel. Please do check it out, help support the channel and all that good stuff. But yeah, I shall see you in the next one, whatever that might be. Keep it naughty until then. Peace out.